Well, you'll recall 3 years ago, you and I talked at length about uranium. And the
Yes.
fact that despite the fact that it wasn't popular, it was necessary because folks want the lights to go on. Even in a rich country like the United States, 14% of electricity supply is uranium and 20% of baseload supply is uranium. But uranium is and has been for a long time priced below the cost of production, which means fairly simply that either the price goes up or the lights go out. Those are the two alternatives. I know the lights aren't going to go out, or at least I hope the lights aren't going to go out, which means the price has to go up. That's been true for a long time. And the question became when. The difficulty in uranium was an oversupply of uranium post the disaster at Fukushima and post the production surge we saw from the last bull market. So we had to work our way through that overhang. And one of the ways to do that was to wait until the Japanese nation, the second largest uranium consumer in the world, began to generate nuclear power again. Two things have happened, Daniela. The first was the incredibly successful introduction by my former firm, Sprott, of the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, which raised 1.2 billion fresh dollars in 4 months, and by itself tightened up the spot market in uranium. But the second, more important catalyst has been the realization among the Japanese electorate that they can't maintain their carbon protocol pledges, and in fact, they can't maintain their economic growth without incurring too much particulate pollution without nuclear power. So the Japanese have restarted, I think, 11 plants, and they have 18 more plants in for permitting, which is the catalyst that moves the uranium market. Meanwhile, the uranium equities market began to get ahead of itself a year ago. You'll recall another discussion we had where I said I love the uranium thesis, but the stocks are too expensive. Well, in the last 7 months, the equity index has fallen by 50%. At the same time that the timeline for the resumption of the uranium bull market has become much closer. So we have this wonderful circumstance where the catalyst for higher prices is at hand, but the cover charge, if you will, to participate has fallen by half. The consequence of that is that I've graded 8,000 portfolios that are primarily oriented towards uranium, studied the portfolios fairly closely, and I've come to understand the mistakes that most uranium investors and speculators make. And myself and my team have, as you suggested, we're going to host on March 19th, Uranium Investors Boot Camp. Very seldom in my career has the gold price increased at the same time that the US dollar is increasing versus other currencies, at the same time that nominal interest rates are going up. When you have those three things in common, you are usually setting the stage for a ferocious gold rally. It's said that gold goes up by elevator and down by escalator. When gold goes up, it really, really, really goes up. And in my career, what has tempered the increase in gold prices has been at least nominal interest rate. Interest rates are going up and gold is going up. And faith in the US dollar. Gold and the US dollar are rising simultaneously, which historically has been very bullish for gold. And as you have suggested, the denominator, the gold price has been going up, but the prices of the gold equities have not been going up as rapidly. The idea that you were making, let's say, $400 an ounce at $1,700 and you'll be making $550 an ounce at a slightly higher price means that your earnings will increase more rapidly than the gold price if you manage your business. At the same time that's occurring, many of the gold equities, if you value them the way I value, which is the net present value of their cash flows at current gold price from attributable, developable resources and reserves relative to their enterprise value, which is their market cap and their debt combined, these companies are as cheap relative to the gold price as they have ever been in my entire career. So we have this interesting circumstance with me where the gold price seems to have found a stimulus, where wind is in the sails of precious metals and the equities are reasonably cheap. It would seem to be, absent a real general liquidity squeeze in markets, the perfect storm for gold stocks. The government of Canada has decided that they can freeze the fiscal assets of their ideological opponents without due process, without resort to the court. This is fascism writ large. And this isn't political. I'm not saying it's aimed at the Liberals. The idea that the government of Canada believes that they can confiscate the financial assets of their ideological opponents without recourse to due process is absolutely chilling. One of the reasons that I emigrated to Canada in 1970 was the drift to fascism, ironically, that I saw in the United States with the Selective Service and the war in Vietnam. Canadians Canadians have always been a little envy of Americans, and it would seem now that the Canadians are way ahead of Americans in the race to the bottom. This idea that it is okay by fiat, without vote and without recourse to the legal system, to confiscate the financial assets of your ideological opponents is pure fascism. It's disgusting, irrespective of how you feel about the Freedom Convoy. The hubris of the political class in Canada and the docile nature by which most Canadian voters seem to have accepted this is mind-boggling for me. And it reinforces to me the necessity to take control of your own financial future. And don't trust the commune, don't trust society, don't trust the Commonwealth. Use them to the extent that you have to. But don't believe, particularly somebody your age, that a government-sponsored pension or government-guaranteed pension is going to be there. Or at least don't believe the purchasing power of the so-called obligation that they have is going to maintain your standard of living. Maintain your own standard of living. Do not trust. You know, Daniela, when I was a youngster, admittedly a long time ago, I heard a little ditty that all of your listeners should listen to, and they should forward to their members of parliament and their congressmen and their senators and all that. It goes like this: when your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. Munger would say there's no free lunch, but what he is saying is that as a society, if you spend more than you earn, if you redistribute to those who didn't earn from those who did earn, it has an unhappy ending. Munger would point to Weimar Germany, the outcome of which is Hitler. I would suggest that a strong first step on that road was taken by the Prime Minister in Canada.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.